what is matter. So matter means it's made up of discrete particles. And it also cannot be seen with our naked eye or even light microscope, but it can be seen by electron microscope. So this is an example of electron microscope. So next is what is discrete. So discrete means is that something that is separate, distinct and individuals. So as you can see, are the particles of matter. So next is kinetic theory of matter. So matter is a made up, constantly moving and small discrete particles. So particles of matter always collided with one another because of the constancy of it always moving. So when heat supplies, the particles will move much faster. While when it's cooled down, the particle will move much more slower. So this is an example of three states of matter, which is we have solid, liquid, and gas. So example of it is that you can see this is three example of three states of matter for the solid, liquid, and the gases. Next is the differences between the three states of matter. So the difference is from the shape is that solid have more definite shape, meanwhile liquid takes the shape of its container, and then for a gas, it takes the shape of the whole container. Then for the arrangement of particles, the solids are more packed closely together in the regular pattern. Meanwhile, the liquids are not closely packed so solid particles and also do not have fixed positions, while gas is a very far apart within each of the particles. So the distance of the particles is solid is very close to each other. How you can see how the solids of the particles is being packed with each other. So meanwhile, liquid particles are being close to each other. But for gases, each of the particles distance is very far from each other. So the volume for a solid is that it has a fixed volume. And liquid also have a fixed volume, same as solid. But for gas, it does not have fixed volume, but it takes the volume of the container. Spaces between the particles is very small because of how the particles being packed to each other. Meanwhile, liquids it's small too, but it still have gap between the particles. But for gases, it's have big spaces because how only small amount of particles in it. So movement of particles is that it's for solids is vibrate about their fixed positions. Meanwhile, liquid is moving more randomly and frequently collisions between each of the particles. While its gases is more randomly moving between each other at very high speeds. So the collision between the gas particles occur more frequently than those between liquids and particles. So for easy flow is that the particles of solid does not flow because you can see it's packed with each other. So for liquid, it flow much more easily as you can see because the particle has space. Meanwhile, for the gas, it flow much more easily in all directions because have a lot of spaces in it. So next, we're gonna learn about diffusion rate in three states of matter. So this is an example of diffusion. So what it means by diffusion is that the smell spreads because the small discrete particles travel with air particle which is the fusion has just occurred. So this example of the perfuming spreads, and you can see the particles move randomly in various directions. So diffusion is a process which the particles of a substance diffuse from contraction area to low contraction areas. So these are examples of diffusions that how it's happened. So in solid, rate of diffusion particles is low. So as you can see, the observations of these gels can turn blue after a few days. So diffusion in liquid is that you can see how the rate of diffusion particles is higher than a solid. So you can see how the water actually turns blue just after 2 hours. So, but in gas, the rate of diffusion particles is the highest. So you can see the observation of it that how brown colored bromine vapor spreads evenly throughout the gas jar in just a few minutes. So we can see how changes of the three-state matter caused by the absorptions and also the release of the heat based on the kinetic theory of matter. So basically is that the matter can be changed from one state to one another when the heat is being absorbed or released. So this is an example when the heat is being absorbed, and this is an example when it's the cooled and the heat is being released. So this is an example of changing state of matter, which is from melting to liquid to evaporation and to gas, it happened condensations, and to liquid to solid, it happened freezing. So the example in real life of changing in three states of matter is the first one is melting. So solid melting is a solid absorb heat when it heated. The particles also obtain energy and vibrate much more faster. Thus, the heat is used to overcome the force of attractions between the particles itself. So the particles will move more freely when the temperature reaching a melting point, which is the solid will turn into liquids. So next is the evaporations. So evaporations will occur at any temperature. So when liquid is absorbed heat from the surroundings, the particles obtain energy and move much more faster, which is the liquid will be evaporated and turned into gas. The third one is boiling, which is boiling occur when the temperature of the liquid is equal to the boiling point of the liquid, and the liquid will absorb heat when it's being heated. So the particles obtain energy and move much more faster when the heat is used to bond between the liquid particles. So when the temperature is actually reached the boiling point, the particles will be moving more freely and randomly. So at the end of it, the liquid will turn into gas. So the next example in real life of changing three state of matter is condensations. So condensation happens when the heat is being released when the gas is cold. So the particle will lose much more energy and will move more slower and closer to one another. So when the temperature is equal or below the boiling point, the gas will turn into liquid. The next example is sublimation. So sublimation is the process in which a solid will turn into a gas or a gas will directly turn into solid. So the third example is freezing. So when the liquid is being released, when it is colded, the particle will lose its energy and move much more slower. So the particle will start to vibrate at a fixed position when they're reaching the freezing point. So the liquid will end up turns into a solid. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.